Time for what?
Time for what?
Experience in college.
Time for reinforcement.
Time for liftoff!
Where nothing is impossible unless you think it is impossible.
College. My college scholarship.
Yes. Boom.
College ran by real fast.
You hung in with the best college.
First time for everything.
Well, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Let's do this thing.
Genius, let's do this thing!
Welcome, everyone. We are so excited because this is not our first time. We've done this a couple of times of having Posse Scholars come over here and talk about their opportunities and experience. Before we talk about what Posse is, let's have our panelists just introduce themselves, a couple of activities, and then where you're going next year.
My name is Winston, part of Insignis, Inside SI, MedCats. I do like stage crew and tech, some other things. And then I'm going to University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington.
I'm Nicholas. I played water polo for 3 years, and I was the Model UN co-president at the school here. And what else did I do? I'm in Inside SI, and I've also been involved with JCL. And I'm going to St. Olaf.
My name's Andres. I'm going to Boston University, and I founded the Heart Club, and I've been on leadership for ALAS for a few years.
Hi, I'm Jade. I'm going to St. Olaf. I've been involved with softball for 3 years. I'm president of Polynesian Dance, and I'm a part of ASC, and I'm on ALAS leadership board.
Hi guys, my name is Mia. I'm going to Lehigh University. Some things I've been involved in is BSU leadership. I'm on varsity softball. I'm on Insignis. I help lead retreats, and I also tutor at FSA.
Okay, let's give a round of applause. They're taking their free time to be here today. Wait, Maja's applaud. What type of applaud is that? Oh, let's go. There we go. All right, so before we go into the nitty-gritty, I think we should go to the emotional part about it, where every student, whether you're Majas or not, goes through about just being acknowledged for all your hard work. It's a journey. You all are going through that journey, and there's a lot of nitty-gritty stuff and information, but right now I think it's really important to talk about their experiences for you guys, and then you guys could jump in at any time. Winston, how did you know to do the Posse nomination application process?
Definitely with the help of Miss Vaccaro. She definitely pushed for me to apply, and I didn't know about Posse until Miss Vaccaro. In terms of motivating myself and wanting to do it, this was my best option, I guess, in terms for financial aid, because it's if I did get this, it's they'll cover everything except for room and board, and that was a very good deal for me, especially just my own financial situations. So that was something that motivated me, and it was that's why I kind of knew that I wanted to do Posse.
And then, Nicholas, what motivated you to do this scholarship among any other scholarships? Why was this different for you?
So kind of like what Winston said, you, Ms. Vaccaro, you kind of brought it up to my attention, and I actually procrastinated for a while on it, so thank you for pushing me in terms of getting it done. But I think a big part of it was not only the obvious the money that would help me out with the finances in the future, but also you brought up how I was one of the leadership oriented students who you thought would be good for the scholarship, and I was kind of flattered by that. I mean, it's I was like, well, if she thinks I can do it, I didn't even know I was on her radar for this kind of thing, so I was like, sure, I'll do it. And it seemed like a good experience to try out, and I went through with all the process, and it came out the way it did, so that's kind of how I got involved in that.
And then, Andreas, so did you just do the Posse Scholarship and only apply to these certain schools, or was it all like this and nothing? What was the deal?
No, I applied to 25 schools, so I applied to a ton of schools, and yeah, it was honestly, I was didn't think I would win it. I was kind of just doing it because you told me I should do it, but I wasn't thinking too much that how realistic it was. So I was definitely stressing. I applied to a ton of schools, which did help though with being able to write my BUSA and kind of get that practice that I needed. But yeah, it was definitely not I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. I was aware that it's still a selective process, that the whole college process, you don't really know how it's going to turn out.
And then Jade, before Mia talks about what is the process, because it's not traditional application process, I still remember after your step one of the application process, the in-person interview, you were just telling me how it was off the hook. So could you talk about your impressions and then how to be kind of open-minded, because you felt one way, you saw certain things, but the results were very different.
Yeah, so before Mia talks about how the process is very like unorthodox when it comes to interviews and stuff like that and how scholarships should be, my first interview where it was a lot of people, I experienced and saw some things that was like, oh, this is kind of weird. This is giving middle school sort of, because it was weird because everyone was planning to be like, oh, I'm going to be better than this person, but not in like a positive way. It was more like I'm going to be better than you and I'm going to bring you down type way, which is not what they want to see, if you know what I mean, because why would you want to do that? That's just so like, that's just mean. But it really made me nervous for the people who were going to be in my posse if I ever made it to that round. I was just really nervous that it was going to be filled with like tryhards. It was very nerve-wracking because I was just like, oh, are they all going to be like this? But it ended up being really like great because the people in my posse are really nice and they're very understanding, and it was nothing like how my first interview was going to be like. So
Mia, go ahead and talk about the process, and then all you guys just jump in, just randomly. So you all each had very different experiences as well with your groups.
So first you have to be nominated by Miss Vaccaro, and then you get like a portal, and you basically put on, oh, this is what I do, your GPA, basics, like basic stuff. And then you'll get called in for your first interview, which is called a DAP 1. And you're basically ours, I don't know if they changed it up a little bit, but ours was downtown at Levi's. Basically get put in a room with about 50 other students, and they have you do activities, like kind of like team building activities, and they kind of walk around and assess like, oh, are you working well with other people? Are you communicating? Things like that. So yeah, kind of middle school. I mean, hate to spoil it, we did work with Legos at one point, so giving type of ideas of what like you're basically doing. And then you get sent home, and then how long was it? A couple weeks? Oh, I don't really have a timeline because it's 3 weeks. You get your posse portal is updated, and it's like either you get into DAP 1 into DAP 2 or not. And DAP 2 is basically like a one-on-one interview with somebody from posse, and they basically go over your resume and you pick your top school that you want to go to, and just a one-on-one interview, basically just saying like, oh, this is me, like these are things I like to do. They talk to you about your family, and they really are just trying to get to know you. And then if you make it past DAP 2, you go into DAP 3, which is like the final round where you're with your top 20 people from your school. And it's basically like another DAP 1, like team building exercises, but you talk a lot more about yourself and your experiences and get to know the other people who could possibly be in your posse.
And like for the DAP 3, like you're there with the head of admissions of the school, with like some like big names. Like I think we had head of admissions, head of like equity and inclusion, head of financial aid, like big people who they fly out from whatever the school is to kind of see you and do those things. And that one's like a little more like a more intimate version, I think, of the first one. And it's like, I would just say like don't get nervous if like you don't hear back right away. Like for the first round, like I heard back on the very, very last day you could hear back, and people were hearing back. Like I had classmates who had heard back the week before. So I was like, yeah, I didn't get it. I was like, it was bad. Like first round, I remember I was with Miss Vaccaro. I was like, yeah, portal doesn't say nothing. And it was like the very last day, and then just like suddenly just shows up. So I would say definitely be patient. They're a small staff too, so like it's not always super efficient when it comes to like getting back to people and getting all that information that you might want.
Just to put in like a big perspective is your DAP 1, that's going to be like 800 students, or you're only with 50 people, but there are separate interviews, so there's going to be 50 and there's like 10 days. So it starts off with 800 students first applying to Posse, and that's all from the Bay Area, North Bay, East Bay, San Francisco Peninsula, all that. Then when you're in DAP 2, so that's the one-on-one interview, that's going to be around like 200-ish, 150. Yeah. And then, yeah.
I started with like 500.
Oh.
It was pretty big.
It's more than 300. Yeah. That's what we know. And then in your last interview, you're going to be in a room with 20 other people. Mm-hmm. And only 10 of those people are going to get it. 10, 11, 9, but usually 10.
Also, after your DAP 2, if you make it past into DAP 3, they do have you fill out the application for the school. So like on Common App, you will still do the application questions, which does have a big part in if you will basically make it, because it's still the same thing with like applying to a college, is that they need to know that you are invested in this and like actually have you answer the questions that they have everyone else, right? So you still do that part. Do you have to commit to one college at this point? So like in DAP 2, you're going to pick your top one, and usually I would say, did everyone get their first choice? So most of the time, if not, you get the first choice that you declare, the first two choices that you declare in DAP 2, and if you make it past DAP 2 and like you're here, you're welcome to DAP 3, then you have to commit to this school.
The time you get accepted into Posse is around December, and if you apply early action to other schools, that's around the time most schools send out their acceptance letters, except for UCs, CSUs, depends on the CSU. But if you do get Posse in that time span, then you're made to sign a early decision agreement stating that you are accepting the invitation to go to that school with the Posse program. And early decision basically means that you're legally binded to the school. Legally? Yeah. Early action is just you're applying in an earlier application pool.
But also, like, you can make it to the final round, like be given your school and decide, I don't want to do it. Like, not my thing anymore. Like, I know someone who made it to the final round and was like, this school they were assigned, they were like, yeah, I'm not too excited about this school, and they wanted to not have to commit to that school. So you can, like, you have time where you can, it's not binding until you kind of want it to be binding. It's like a bigger idea of where you want to go. So it's not like early on in the process you have to really commit anywhere.
Winston, after DAP 2, so after the second interview, they contacted you and said...
They contacted me and were asking, this is about like asking if I want to like commit to
yours.
Oh yeah, to University of Puget Sound. And after, like, once you say yes, and if you make Posse, they ask that you rescind all your other applications. Something that they spoke about was like they have a lot of trouble if you make it all the way to the end and you decide to like back out, because it's like this whole process set up to find like to make a posse, to make a group that would be really work well with each other. So that's why they like ask that you are very sure if you're going to be fully committed to Posse. For me, they like that was something that they stressed. It was like, if you feel like you are going, or like if you really want to make Posse and you like feel like this is the path that you want to go down, then you should then like move on to the other rounds.
Now, Nicholas, were you allowed to do ED, which is a binding agreement, at any other campus?
No, I don't think we were allowed to do that just because it's an exclusive agreement. So like even with another like school outside of Posse, you can't do 2 EDs because that would just kind of get rid of the whole premise of that. Because the whole idea is that EDs just like if you get accepted, you're going to go. So Posse just has you do that because it's basically the same question they're asking you.
Right. So I have a question, and Nicholas, you could answer someone else. So did you hear someone getting round 2 and saying no, backing off, like because to that campus they were honored?
Yeah, I didn't hear anyone from my group say that, so.
Go ahead, I think someone else has a comment.
I know if you are not crazy, or okay, if there was someone that didn't really like the school that they were assigned to and they backed out of it, and that is valid for them.
Can they appeal that decision?
No. So if you say no, then it's like, sucks for you, you know? Like, you said no the first time, so it's not like you can come crawling back. But that really just depends on you. If you are solely committed to the school that you're assigned to, even though you haven't visited or you haven't really heard about it, then it's a personal choice. But by the time, if you are selected to go on to DAP 3, I feel like you should be able to have some type of excitement about the school you're going to. But then again, it's personal, so.
So, Jade, why don't you and Nicholas, and we'll go on to the rest, we'll get that question first in a minute, but after that, talk about why was it easy for you guys to say yes to St. Olaf or to your campuses? What attracted you to say yes to them? Because that means you will not find out decisions about the UCs or the Cal States if you did win it. But we have a question from the audience. And if you could repeat it, Jay, please.
So after DAP 2, you find out what school they're putting you in?
Mm-hmm.
You can say yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes. So after DAP 2, you find out which school you're going to, or which school you're assigned to, and that is solidified.
Did you put any preference before DAP?
Yes. I think since DAP 1?
I think when you apply like an actual application.
On the application portal, they make you, there's like ranks, and it's like number 1, you put the school, and you put like a few sentences why it's your number 1, and then so on and so forth.
Jade, I know you said like,
Jade, okay.
St. Olaf wasn't your first choice. Was that your second choice?
I ranked it University. Lehigh was first, Puget Sound second, St. Olaf third, Boston University last.
What I was gonna say is that with the, I forgot who asked the question, but about like if you could put your preference for the school. During the interview, you kind of get to almost like discuss with the interviewer about that. So like I think this is kind of what you were going to ask me about, like which one I chose over the two. I had St. Olaf, which I ended up getting, and Boston University kind of tied because they only offered the 4 schools. I was really attracted to St. Olaf's activities and academics and stuff, but sort of similar to BU. So I basically just talked to the interviewer and talked about what my interests were, and they kind of said like, oh, St. Olaf would be better for you, and I agreed with them. So that's sort of like, that's another step of like the preferences, like not just writing it down, but you can really kind of not really negotiate but discuss it with the interviewer, and that works out.
For me, I think what attracted me about the school was that they have a bioethics minor, and that's something that's very like unique to it, because I was looking at the other schools, not just part of Posse. You can't really find a bioethics minor in other schools, so that was something that I thought was really interesting, and biology is something that I'm interested in, so a bioethics minor would just be like an extra add-on. Also, the campus is really, really pretty, and the area is really nice, so I thought it's a school that I'm not going to be unhappy about going to. Even though there are like other options, I think Puget Sound is the one that I felt fit what I was looking for more. And like Nicholas was saying, during DAP 2 they like ask you why you rank the schools the way you did, and you do kind of have like a conversation. I will say do your research. That's very important, especially for DAP 2 when they're asking you about it, not only because it shows that you're like interested in a school and that like helps you out, but also because you don't want to be asked like, why are you interested in this school, and then you have nothing to say, because that'll be a little bit awkward. That was almost like my case, but I did some research beforehand. But yes, do your research. Like Jade was saying, you kind of have to, after a point, you kind of just have to like want to go to the school and like be excited for it. And for me, it really was like the bioethics minor and the campus and like the community around in Tacoma.
Andres, you want to talk about Boston University?
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of had like a unique situation which isn't, I don't necessarily recommend it because like you don't know how it's going to end up, but I told them that I wouldn't go to any of the other schools. So I told them that Boston University is the only one of the schools that I would go to. And the reason I said that was just because I'm somebody who like, I like really need to be in the city, just like the kind of person I am. I would rather like go to pretty much like any school in a city versus any school outside of the city. Just because of the kind of like, I guess the way I was raised, I was raised in a like really appreciating like urban life and learning from my communities in like an urban setting. So that was like something that really drove me to want to go to Boston University, just because it was in a city. And yeah, like going back to what Winston said, like definitely do your research on the schools though, because like I did talk to like my trainer afterwards, and I was like, did that help me or hurt me when I said I want to go this one? She said, we hear it all the time. People are always like, oh, I only want to go to here because I like cities. And that isn't enough. Like saying I like cities isn't enough. It also has to kind of go along with your application and what they've seen from you and the story that you're telling. But like a part of it was also like I like brought up specific professors during my DAP 3 who interested me. I like brought up specific like centers that they have for research and just like general things about the school. Because you have to remember that the third round, a lot of who's making the decision is the admissions team at the school. So you have to like show that you know about the school, you're interested in the school. It's not, Posse's kind of already chosen you a little bit once you get to the final round, because they're willing to have helped anybody there with the scholarship. But once you're in the final round, a lot of it goes up to the admissions at the school that you're trying to go to. So like definitely doing your research. But yeah, so for me, I just kind of told them during my round 2 interview why like I wanted to go to Boston University, and I told them that if they were to give me any of the other schools, I would not accept the scholarship.
Funny story, actually. I didn't check my email, so I thought I was rejected from Posse after DAP 2, and I was like really angry. I was like, I didn't even want to go there anyways. But don't send this to them. I checked my email like later that day, like at 11, and then it said, you've been chosen to be a finalist for St. Olaf. And I was like, oh, this is okay. So it was very much going into this whole college process. I never had like a top school. I had like an idea of where I wanted to go, but I never had like I want to go here. This is my dream school. Not even for the UCs. It was kind of just like, someone please take me. Someone please accept me. And if juniors, I think they already filled out the CAP form. So there's likelies, targets, and reaches. I only applied to likelies. So it was very much like, please whichever gives me the most financial aid and whoever accepts me, it was kind of like, I'll go there. But when it comes to Posse, I think I'm just down with whatever at this point. When it came to St. Olaf, I was like, Minnesota. I don't know anyone there. I don't have family there. It's cold. I know that. But other than that, I didn't know anything about it. But I mean, I think once you know you're going there and you sort of know community you're surrounded with, it makes it a little bit easier to find things to love about it.
So I knew from like a very young age I wanted to go to the East Coast. So all of my top choices, you could say, were just like not on the West Coast for me. So that made it easier to put like Lehigh and then Boston in like my ranking, just because if I wanted to like experience what East Coast life was like. And I remember the first time like I heard about Lehigh, like searched it up, and like my first words were like, oh my God, it's really pretty. Because like the campus is a castle, a literal castle. Like there's deer on campus that you can like pet and stuff like that. But why I put like Lehigh over Boston was because of the major that they had. I want to go into pharmacy, and so they have a specialized program called pharmaceutical chemistry, and so that was what I really wanted to do, and they had my major, so I was like, okay, cool, this is my first choice. And like the more I researched about the school, the more I fell in love with it. It's just like a great campus life. I have extended time, so they meet all my accommodations, and like it was just like the perfect school for me. It's middle size, so like I would know all my teachers and the teachers would know me, yet I still have like the big like UC like feel of like it's a big school. So it was just like the perfect setting for me to be in, and that's why I kind of just ranked it over the rest of them.
Posse, a lot of people think, it's just a scholarship. And what a lot of people don't know is that it's a leadership scholarship where they're looking for potential leaders. So can you guys just give one snapshot of what you've been doing this spring semester, even though you've already been accepted and you're all done, and you each got $250,000 going to pay for your tuition for all 4 years. But what have you been doing this spring semester with Posse, and what will be happening when you start Posse in the fall? Because I think a lot of people forget about that priceless support that Posse does provide you. That's actually the most expensive part of this process.
So like Mr. Carr was saying, the money is great, but it also it differs from just a scholarship because there is so much mentorship that goes into it. Since we've been accepted, we've been meeting with our posses once a week for like 2 hours, just to kind of give us different scenarios of what campus life is going to be like and to get to know each other more, because we are going to be like a posse. I think once we get on campus, we meet like bi-weekly or once a
week with a faculty member from the campus who's working with just the Posse students.
Yeah, so that's kind of the process that we're going through currently. They provide support with like career workshops, and then talking about like financial aid, and also bringing up topics that are relevant to campuses. Is like, what do you do if you have like a problem with someone on campus? Or for us, it's like because Puget Sound is like predominantly a white institution, they're giving us a lot of scenarios of like, how do you approach conversations about race? How do you have like a constructive conversation when someone else has like differing views? So they're like helping you prep a lot for the transition into college.
Yeah, like Winston said, the mentorship they give you is really huge. Actually, I kind of forgot to mention this earlier at the beginning. One of the main reasons I actually considered Posse at all is because of the mentorship. I thought that would be very invaluable, especially because of how I kind of see my future careers going. So I think they obviously there's the weekly meetings now and the meetings in college, but even outside of that, they told us about how like after college there'll be like vocational support through Posse, and like you're basically kind of stuck with them forever. Like they'll always help you if you come to them and need something. So I really think it's really a serious part of the scholarship.
Yeah, like I think kind of going on to what you were saying, like one of the big things is just the fact that like it's not just like they don't just give you money. Like they kind of repeat that a lot. Like some scholarships will just give you money, but their whole thing is like, well, we can give you money, but what does that matter if you don't do well in college? So they give you money, make sure you do well in college. Well, and after that, they're like, well, what does it matter if you do well in college if you don't know how to navigate a professional world or know how to get a job, or you don't have the connections or the experience to do any of that? So they, even after you graduate from college, you still have an internship coach and a job coach and somebody who you can contact to help you network. I know while you're in college, they were telling us that like if you're making less than like a certain amount of money during the summer, or if you want to help a community or something, they will pay you up to like like $3,500 for the summer for your transportation, for your housing, for your food, for just the whole summer. So they really like try to help their students. I know there's like another Posse scholarship, I think the sophomore year, that only Posse scholars can win, is kind of like a similar thing, except you win like $10,000 cash, and then you get mentored by like a CEO in your desired field, and like some of the people, for example, like I think Michelle Obama has been one of those mentors that work one-on-one with a person for a year, or like the CEO of Microsoft has done that, been mentors for one-on-one for a year. So it's like a lot of it, like they're really trying to make sure that you like succeed in college and after college, and like it's it's not only a scholarship, it's also like a support system that like we have access to a portal where jobs will post jobs there, like jobs will post internships there looking specifically for Posse scholars. So it's like an opportunity that I guess continues to help you out after just winning the scholarship.
Even if you don't make it through DAP 3, I think this is just St. Olaf exclusive, but if you don't make it into the physical Bay Area Posse, there's also something called virtual St. Olaf. So instead of having PCT, which is pre-collegiate training, what Winston said, instead of having it in person in downtown, it's on Zoom, which is a little, traumatizing, but you'll still be in the program, and you will also still be in contact with the in-person posses as well, because in the summer, we all go on a retreat, 2 groups per session, and we get to talk to virtual St. Olaf as well, because they will be in California with us, even though they're from different parts of the United States.
Yeah, like what was repeated a lot, that is like Posse is like a family. It's going to PCT with these 10 people who you're going to eventually spend the next 4 years with, and you might even go to graduate school with them, who knows. And like my posse, like I have posse today at like 4, but it's fine. We go to dinner after every meeting, and we just hang out outside of the posse space, and we just get to know each other. Like we have a group chat, we talk, we tell each other about like school drama. Like it's a family that you have for the rest of your life. I know a lot of people who work at Posse are like, oh yeah, I still text my Posse every day. Yeah, we go hang out every day. Like it's a thing that carries with you. So you're not only getting the money, you're getting this support system that's going to go to college with you and help you through the worst and through the best. And like we said about the internships, there's a portal that will post like specific Posse things. Hey, we're from Microsoft, we're looking for a Posse, someone from Posse to like come internship at our job. Or like there's a bunch of stuff that Posse offers you that you cannot get anywhere else, that was just Posse specific. So if you're thinking about doing it, really just like do it. There's no harm, no foul. Even if you don't get in, if you make past DAP 2, you still are in contact with Posse people. They can still offer you a lot of help and things. So honestly, just do it. There's no harm.
And like I wanted to like emphasize that like the only criteria, just like having leadership skills, like they're not looking for like the perfect student. Like I have a few C's on my transcript. Like they're not looking for the perfect student. They're not looking for somebody who does absolutely like 3 sports and 5 jobs and everything at the same time. They're just looking for somebody who like has good leadership skills. There's no like you don't have to be a certain race or certain income. Like it's a leadership scholarship, and it's a merit scholarship. So it's based off of the potential that they see in you. So like I'm just like don't count yourself out if you like think like, oh yeah, I won't be able to do this, because like that's definitely what I was thinking. And it's just like there's definitely a variety with everything. There's variety in grades and race and interest. Like my posse's like we're all super different, do different things and like different things. Like I think everybody's definitely like qualified, or everyone can be qualified for the scholarship.
So just so that you know, our first Posse person ever at SI just graduated from Puget Sound. There'll be 2 SI module students at Puget Sound. At St. Olaf, we have 6 students at St. Olaf that's going with Nicholas and Jay. So all of them are Posse members. Andreas, he is our first Posse member at Boston University. Then also we will have 2 at Lehigh. So Mia will be joining someone else. I just want you to let you know, this is not usual. And that's because they were open, they were risk takers, they were supportive. I also have to say it's about access. It's also about communication. There's a lot of you guys that I always wonder, could there have been more people because they didn't read the portal, they didn't read the email, they didn't say, hey, I didn't hear back. And these guys, one way or the other, kept that communication one way or the other. And that opens doors too. So give them one big last round of applause saying thank you, thank you, thank you to our Posse Scholars 2023.
Thank you for listening to SI Counseling Podcast, where we help our students strive to respond courageously to the opportunities and challenges of our time.